Hello and welcome back to the Marvellous-U Podcast. If you have been with me from the beginning, thank you. I'm really grateful, for beginning this journey with me. If this is your first time listening, you are so welcome. You have joined us at a very special moment. Today's episode is season 1 finale. And I wanted this not just to be another episode. I wanted it to be a moment to pause, reflect, and truly appreciate the journey we've been on together. Over the past 12 episodes, including 2 special guest interviews, we've had honest conversations about confidence, self-care, motherhood, parenting, relationships, communication, and healing. In these episodes, we've talked about the hard moments, those difficult times, the quiet struggles, and also the strength, growth, and resilience that often goes unnoticed. And if there's one thing I've been reminded of throughout this season, is this: growth does not always look dramatic. Healing is not always loud. And living a marvelous life is not about perfection. It's about intention. In today's episode, I want to share some of the most meaningful lessons from this season 1. Not just as a host, but as a woman, a mother, and someone who is still growing, still learning, and still becoming. This is a conversation about what it really means to live marvelously in real life, not just in theory. So wherever you are right now, I invite you to slow down for a moment. Take a deep breath and reflect with me. In season 1, we have covered a lot of topics, and I want to just quickly run down the topics that we have covered in season 1. The major themes are around confidence and identity, self-care and burnout, parenting and advocacy, and then relationship and communication. In this first season, we've covered several episodes. And under self-development and self-care for women and girls, we've talked about how to build confidence as a woman. And then we also discussed self-care for busy moms. Under parenting and special need, we talked about raising a child with special need. And in this episode, I shared my own personal journey of raising a child with special need. We discussed parent burnout, the signs, prevention, and how to recover. And I also discussed how to advocate for your child at school with professionals. Under girls and women, we looked at teen confidence, how to love who you are, and also friendship struggles, how to deal with toxic friends and set boundaries without guilt. Under relationship, we discussed parenting as a couple and strengthening your relationship under pressure. And also how to communicate better in relationship without drama. So in all of these episodes, if you have not watched any of them, if you have not listened to any of them, wherever you're streaming your podcast from, please go and listen to these episodes because you will find them really, really helpful. So the themes around all these episodes have been that of confidence and identity, self-care and burnout, parenting and advocacy, and relationships and communication. In going through all of these episodes, there have been key lessons that I have learned, and I hope you have also learned also. In this episode, one of the key lessons is that growth is not linear. Growth is not a straight line. In growing, there will be several detours, to our growth. But it doesn't mean that growth is not happening. Growth is not taking place. Another lesson is that rest is essential, especially as a mom and as a parent. Rest is non-negotiable. So prioritizing your rest, prioritizing self-care for yourself is very important. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. I think the right quote there is that self-care is not selfish. In your relationships, in motherhood, in your friendship, self-care is important. Another key lesson from this episode is that your story matters. Your story is very important. And this podcast is created as a space for you to have your voice heard. And I'm so pleased that we have been able to, invite some parents to share their story as, in a guest interview. Because your story matters. In sharing your story, you don't know who you are able to influence and impact. And I've seen that in a comment, on one of the episodes in this video. Your story matters. Your story, your experience is not just for you. It's to be able to bless others. It's to be able to impact others. Your voice deserves to be heard. Don't hide your voice and don't hide your story. You are allowed to evolve. I started by saying that growth is not linear. When you are evolving, you are growing. In life, nobody remains the same way that they are. And in one of the episodes, I discussed the different developmental stages of our life, from childhood to adulthood. And in all of this transition, we are evolving. Our identities keep shifting in different phases of our life. And in this shift, we are growing. We grow because every developmental stage of our life will require that we grow. Just like a baby is required to be able to walk at a particular time and then talk and become an adolescent and then a young adult. In all of these stages, there are several levels of growth that is expected. But this is not always linear. It's not always straightforward. But yet, growth is still needed for us to evolve. Because in our growth, we are changing. And change is the only constant in life. If you are not changing, it means you are not growing. And if you are not growing, then it's either you are alive or you are dying. Because growth is the evidence of life. So you are allowed to evolve. It's important that we grow, that we see rest as an essential part of our lives. To recognize that our life stories, they matter, and that we are growing and we are evolving. I want to reflect on how hosting this podcast has impacted me. I would also like to invite you to have this reflection with me. How has this podcast impacted you? What are the lessons you are learning? You could possibly share them in the comment section with me or send me an email. I would like to hear your thoughts. From my personal reflection, hosting this podcast has been a very personal journey for me. When I started the Marvellous-U Podcast, I knew I wanted to create a space where women, mothers, girls, and caregivers could feel seen, supported, and encouraged. But I didn't fully realize how much it would also impact me. This journey has stretched me in ways I didn't expect. It has taught me to slow down and reflect more intentionally, not just speak, but really think about what I believe, what I have experienced, and what I'm still learning. And interestingly, that process of reflection didn't just stay in my mind. it actually became something more tangible. As I've been going through this journey, thinking, reflecting, processing, I realized how powerful it is to have a space to capture those moments. And that is part of what led me to create something very personal. This is the Marvelous Moments Journal. This is actually my proof copy. And this means so much to me because it was created from this exact journey. The lessons, the reflections, the quiet moments of growth that don't always get seen. It's a space for you to pause, reflect, and be intentional about your life, even in the middle of everything you're juggling. So in many ways, this podcast didn't just impact me emotionally. It also inspired me to create something that could support you in your own journey too. I am so pleased to reveal this to you, the Marvelous Moments Journal. This journal is a confidence-building journal for celebrating life's beautiful wins. And it is created for you as a personal reflection journal to use and record those small wins, those special moments in your life, whether they are big or they are small. This journal is to be a companion for you in this journey of growth and healing. I'll leave a link in the description box below on how to get a copy of this journal. So, this podcast has reminded me that my voice matters. There were moments, especially at the beginning, where I questioned myself. Am I saying the right thing? Did I do it well? Oh, how am I looking? Will this help someone? Am I enough to do this? But showing up consistently, even in those moments of doubt, has helped me grow in confidence. Not a loud confidence, but a quiet, grounded confidence. The kind of confidence that says, I don't have to be perfect to be impactful. And one of the greatest lessons for me has been this: people don't connect with perfection, they connect with honesty. Another thing this podcast has taught me is the importance of giving myself grace. And funny enough, my name is Grace. So I have learned to give myself grace in balancing life, motherhood, caregiving, take that again. I've learned to give myself grace in balancing life, motherhood, entrepreneurship, caregiving, and doing meaningful work in my community and everything in between. It's not always easy, balancing all of this. And there were times when I had to remind myself that it's okay to go at my own pace. That consistency doesn't always mean perfection. Sometimes it simply means not giving up. So you don't always have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. What are the lessons I'm still learning? The truth is I'm still learning. And I'm still learning how to rest without feeling guilty. For somebody who likes to be busy, this can be a struggle sometimes. But I'm really learning to rest without feeling guilty. Of creating my own space where I can just pause and have my own me time. I'm also learning to ask for support when I need it. When you are someone that always wants to be on top of things and do things by yourself, asking for help sometimes can also be a struggle. But I've learned and I'm still learning to ask for support when I need it. And not be afraid and not be ashamed to say I need help. I'm still learning how to create space for myself and not just for everyone else. Because for so long in my life, I prioritized everybody else above myself. But at this stage of my life, I'm learning to not just create space for people, which I still do, but also learn to create space for myself. I'm learning that growth is not something you arrive at. It's something you continue to choose. And it's important that we continue to choose growth in our lives every day, in small ways. And that is what this journal represents as well. Those small intentional moments that help you grow over time. Not just grow, but also helps your confidence grow. If you ever feel like you don't have everything figured out, if you feel like you're still learning and still becoming, please know you are not alone. I'm right there with you. And that in itself is part of what it means to live marvelously. So, looking ahead in our coming season, which is season 2, we are going to have deeper topics and also some live questions and answers, and some guests too, special guest appearances. So the themes around season 2, we also follow topics on self-development and self-care. We also have themes around parenting, friendship, themes for girls, for young women, and we'll also be looking at relationship topics and family lives. So there's still a lot more to come in season 2, and these will be even deeper topics. So I want you to stay tuned and watch out for season 2 of the Marvellous-U Podcast. As we come to the end of this episode and the end of season 1, as we come to the end of this episode and the end of season 1, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey, even in a small way. This season has been a reminder that growth is not always easy, and healing is not always quick, and purpose is not always clear. But even in that uncertainty, there is progress. And progress is always seen in the action, in the doing. So even in the quiet moments when it looks like nothing is really happening, there is transformation. And living marvelously is not about having everything figured out. If I had everything figured out, I wouldn't even begin this journey of, hosting a podcast. Sometimes you have to begin without figuring it out. The learning and the growing is in the process. It's about choosing again and again to grow, to heal, and to move forward with intention. So before we close, I want to leave you with a gentle reflection. What does living marvelously mean to you in this season of your life? Think about that. Not in a perfect world, but in your real everyday life. What does living marvelously mean to you? As we take a short pause before the next season, I encourage you to carry that question with you. If this episode has supported you, encouraged you, or made you feel seen, I'll truly appreciate it if you shared it with someone who might need it too. And don't forget to follow or subscribe. Please wherever you're listening from, whatever streaming platform, like and leave a comment so that you can always see what is coming next. You don't want to miss our coming episode. Because this is not the end. It's simply the end of a chapter. Season 2 will be deeper, more intentional, and even more impactful. And I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of your heart, and remember, you're growing, you're healing, and you're already on your way to living a marvelous life. You've been listening to the Marvellous-U Podcast. If this episode resonates with you, please subscribe, rate, and share. It's the best way to spread the word and support others on their journey. And always remember, you are marvelous just as you are. See you in the next episode.